I'm over here now in the Advanced Technology Group, and what's interesting about this is the name of the game is Total Non-Stop Action at 60 frames per second. You need it for that much action in the ring.
For a fighting game, combat game, whatever you want to call wrestling or any of that, 60 frames a second is everything.
The players want a responsive feel to the game. A lot of wrestling games that are currently on the market, they play rather slowly. They lag behind. By the time you hit the button press, by the time your character does it, there's a disconnect there that it doesn't feel right.
If it took a few frames or a few milliseconds for something to happen, then that's the difference between seeing a punch coming and countering it to being punched.
60 frames a second is huge because it gives that fast response time. The user wants a fast response to what he's pressing on the pad, and basically TNA is all about that. The whole fighting mechanic, response time is all about the 60 frames a second. So our goals technically on TNA are actually to make the best possible game we can, but also to push the platforms to its ultimate potential. That's pushing the GPU, that's also pushing the CPU to its limit, to make the game flow at 60 frames per second.
So we spent a lot of time working on being able to do lighting that goes right across the crowd, spotlights that move across the crowd, colors. We can project the TNA logo.
With the projected textures, which are basically textures that rotate around the environment, it brings the characters to life to actually make them feel like they're part of the environment. And the same textures actually flow over the crowd as well.
We are now in the programming department where they work hard to create the tools necessary for the designers to put the action in total non-stop action.
The process for programming really on TNA has been treating programming as a service group, I'd say, for design and art.
They'd work with the designers and artists to figure out what tools the designers and artists needed and how they needed them built. The idea here is to give them the tools so they can do their work.
So we're using the Unreal editor as our base engine. On top of that, we've built a lot of tools into that. A lot of it's been sharing throughout all of Midway. We've taken tools from many other games, including Stranglehold, which gave us a lot of our base tools. From that, we've edited them a lot to make them work better for TNA and what we actually need in our wrestling game.
Everything you do in a video game requires programming support. Nothing is free, nothing is easy.
I am now in the design area where these designers work day and night meticulously fine-tuning what the animators give them to provide the most authentic experience in gameplay possible.
For TNA, the designers have a huge job, and we have a big design team.
Well, the design for a game like TNA is broken down into 3 different phases. The first phase is the pre-production, where we really kind of go out and figure out what are the wrestling states, what are the moves that need to be motion captured. Once all that data has been motion captured, then we go into phase 2, which is implementing these moves. And that's the most fun phase of any game, is actually seeing a move for the very first time, getting it in, jumping in the air, landing, getting the reactions. Phase 3 is where we then go back and refine those moves and kind of tie it all together, make sure the damage amounts are correct, make sure that the opponents get stunned at the right frequency, make sure the UI and the graphics are all polished.
We've tried to recreate a lot of the feel with TNA by our camera system and mirroring a lot of what they do on the television show.
Everything that we do with our cameras keeps the action in tight, up close, as cool as it can be. Our characters look fantastic and they really look like the TNA guys, so you want to see that up close.
We have a normal gameplay camera that kind of follows the action, tracks the action. But as the users do more intricate moves, we get different camera angles and different flybys of the actual animations that really bring these things to life and show you a different side of these moves.
In TNA Impact, the video game, a great feature is the ability to create your own wrestler. And when you go into battle, it's always important to look your best. And they provide the tools for you to do just that.
We feel that Create a Wrestler is one of the big aspects of wrestling games.
You'll choose a story mode, or you can actually just create one from the front end. When you go to actually create your wrestler, you're choosing their look, their overall wrestling style, and then based off of how you play the game and making money, advancing through the story, things like that. You'll be able to purchase new moves that they'll be able to do within that wrestling style.
From a user experience, it's going to be pretty cool. I mean, they'll be able to make themselves. It'll be a lot of fun for the player.
Well, anyone who watches TNA Impact on television knows that a lot happens behind the scenes. Not everything just happens inside the ring. In fact, a lot happens backstage. And through story mode, these cinemas are being brought to life right before our very own eyes. A lot of interaction going on backstage with the TNA stars as part of the TNA Impact video game.
The storyline of the TNA game is an interesting one. It's based around your created character. We want the players to create a character themselves and then progress through our story.
You start off on top. You cross paths with some bad guys. I don't want to give away their names, but basically you pick the wrong people in the TNA organization.
And end up with your loss of memory, dumped in a gutter somewhere in Tijuana, Mexico, and your face is, wrapped up in bandages. You wake up that way.
You have to go get plastic surgery done, and you want to work your way back into TNA. Prove that you are the best and get those guys who got you down.
Everything in TNA doesn't always happen in the ring. Throughout our cinematics, there's various areas that the camera focuses on and areas that we want to show the player. So we had to build custom sets to fill out these areas.
We did this rundown, horrible-looking hospital in Mexico where your character ends up. That was just great fun because we were able to just, chip paint on the walls. All of the equipment is like rusted and horrible looking, and we were able to do cool things with the lighting, and it was a very small scene, so everything was very focused. We were able to just really pack in a lot of really interesting detail.
Well, thanks for watching this exclusive behind-the-scenes look at TNA Impact, the video game. Now, go play the game. Except for Thursday nights, 9 o'clock Eastern, Spike TV. Thanks.